Hey guys, Tim here, Big Dog Forge. Welcome back. So we're taking a little break from the feather pattern Damascus, and we're going to put together a little canister Damascus today. And I'm going to use some spring steel, some chainsaw chain, some powdered 1084, and some wrought iron in that canister. We'll see how this thing comes out. All right, guys, stick with me. Should be fun. All right, see you at the other end. Okay guys, we've got some 1-inch square wrought iron. This was donated to the shop by Robert Robnett. His brother gave this to him. Apparently it came from a water tower that was built in 1911 in Nebraska. And it seems to be pretty good stuff, so we're going to flatten some of this out. And what we're going to do is get it nearly as wide as the inside of the canister. You can see where we cut it into sections. Those are just under 4 inches long, and they're about 1.5 inches wide. And we have a 2-inch wide canister ID. And we're going to stack 2 of these things and put them up against one wall of the canister. And the reason we're stacking them is I just want the layers in between rather than making one thick piece. I thought it would give it a little more character. We'll see how that comes out. Alright, so one of them we only had to clean one side, and the second one we have to clean both sides because we've got it leaning up against the first piece of wrought iron, and then the rest of the billet is going to be up against the other side of it. So clean up both sides, and that is going to be our spine of our knife. Alright, now this is a leaf spring, and it's off of a boat trailer from about 1968, and this will T-intersect the backbone and create the core of what will be the billet. So as you grind a bevel on the blade, this is what we'll be showing, and this will fit into the canister with the wrought iron. You'll see how all this will come together in just a bit. Alright, and meanwhile, while we're waiting for that to cool off, we've got this, it's about a 14-pound sledgehammer head. Picked it up for $1, and it's a future project, but I need to get this thing annealed. You guys will have fun watching me play with that later on. Alright, I got it in some sand. Now this is our chainsaw chain, and I'm counting out 5 links at a time, and I'm cutting them off. That'll bring us just under our 4-inch mark, and they'll be able to fit into our canister. And I cut up a couple of those. Alright, our spring steel is cooled off now, and we're going to clean up both sides and both edges so that we can get this thing tack welded together with the wrought iron and start putting our canister together. There's a lot of little fidgety pieces to make here, but it should come out pretty cool. At least I'm hoping it does. The trick is going to be heat treating this. There we go. Okay, so we've got our 2 pieces of wrought iron, and we're going to tack weld those to this plug for the end of our canister. Of course, we're using a 304 stainless steel canister. It's got 1/8 inch wall thickness, and it's 2-inch by 2-inch ID, 4 inches long. There we go. And tack weld our wrought iron right to that, and we're going to construct part of this outside the can, of course the hard parts, before we put it in there and cover it with powder. There we go. And we need to make sure that our spine, we're going to call it actually the backbone of this thing would be the 2 pieces of wrought iron, and then this is the piece of spring steel, which is going to be the core for the blade we'll eventually make out of this. And we'll get that welded into the bottom of that canister. And I made a little mistake here. Nothing we couldn't recover from. But I get to looking at this thing and I'm thinking, I've got these little short sections of chain that I need to fit in this thing. And yeah, there's no way I'm going to shove them in there and keep them the way I want. So we're going to turn this into a canoe real quick. We'll cut the top off this thing. Alright, then we can peel that back. No, we got to grind some of that weld off there. That's welded in pretty good. Which is good to know. You know, which your weld's failing. Alright, we're going to put the plug in the other end. It'll contain all of our chain and powdered steel we're going to fill this thing up with. Okay, so with this canoe configuration, we'll be able to get those pieces of chain neatly tucked down on either side of that core. And we'll use our fingers. Nah, we'll grab our ice pick here. There we go. The Jimmy DiResta style ice pick. And we'll get these things sorted out. And we'll get as many on either side of that thing as we can. I think we can wiggle and jam a few more in there. The more we get in there, the less powder we're going to have to put in, obviously. And I think the less powder, the more contrast we'll get in those pieces of chain. So this took a little bit of fidgeting, but it really didn't take too long to get these things in there. And they actually fit pretty well. They have an odd shaped tooth that comes up off the top, likes to get hooked on everything, but I managed to get I don't know, 6 or 7 pieces, I believe 7 individual bits of chain on either side of that spring steel core. There we go. There's our 1084 powder. And just like the rest of them, just going to fill it up, tap it down, fill it up, tap it down until it stops tapping down. There's quite a bit of open space, and this powder's pretty fine, so it shouldn't have a problem getting to the bottom at all. And our wrought iron is slightly narrower by, I don't know, 1/16 of an inch on either side inside the can. So this powder should go down around that wrought iron on both sides. And it'll end up being ground off, and as we're forging out our billet, we'll lose some of that to scale. But we should be able to save most of the wrought iron that's in there. Yeah, a little more powder. We don't have any voids in the top. There we go. Alright. That's looking pretty good. That converted to a canoe pretty easily. I need to get some clamps on this thing. Hold the lid down as tight as we can. And we'll get this guy welded up all the way around. Get a handle welded on him. We can get him in the forge. And the stainless steel welds up very nicely with just mild steel wire in that MIG welder. Penetrates and flows very nicely. Alright. And into the forge we go. And we're going to use our squaring dies on the press for our initial weld. And Floyd does a great job of this. And then we'll change over to our sort of fullering dies. So we can drawing dies, so we can draw this out. And that canister is already loose on there, and I can feel it just kind of moving back and forth. So we're going to go ahead and remove the canister before we continue this. And it came off fairly easily. That's why I use a stainless steel. It just, a few slices and the can bends off pretty darn easily. And the only trouble I really had with this is I welded a round handle on it, and I wanted to rotate in the vise a little bit, so I had to keep kind of pushing it back around. There we go. And it looks like we got a few little cracks in the surface of this thing. And I was a little afraid that it could be that the wrought iron might crack, or the leaf spring might crack. You have to be really careful with press when you use these things. It'll push Damascus apart pretty easily. But it seemed to weld up on the surface okay. I've got one side that's developing a series of cracks. It almost looks like a saw blade as I'm working this thing, and it's concerning me a little bit here. But we're going to keep going. It only seems to be on one side, and they seem to be fairly shallow. So I'm not too worried. Until a crack starts developing, you know, that's good size, then I'll start. But we'll see how it goes here. All right. Let's take a look at this thing while it's cooling off. And you can see those cracks going down that one side just off the edge, but they don't seem to go into the billet too far, and there's nothing on the other side. So we'll get this thing ground down and get it over the belt sander, and we'll see what it looks like. All right. Yeah, it didn't take too much to get that off there, that hard stone. And I ground that edge down, and just to see how deep those cracks were going. They didn't go that deep, so got a little bit of belt grinder time here. All right, we're off to the ferric chloride. And of course I ran out of memory on my other camera, and it's uploading to the computer, so I just grabbed my cell phone here. There we go. That's right out of the ferric chloride. And all of the cracks ground out, and you can see that wrought iron on the top, and that kind of busy chainsaw Damascus look. That is really cool looking. I'm very happy with that. Okay guys, there you go. So you saw it come out of the little tub there, and it didn't look too bad. I don't know if you can see this or not, but I didn't show you the edge of this thing, and I don't know if you can see it. Yeah, this thing doesn't want to focus very well, but you can get the sense of what's right there. It's that spring steel between the layers of chainsaw, and then on the backbone we have wrought iron. So we've got a billet ready to make a knife, and just need to figure out what kind of knife. That wrought iron came out looking pretty cool. I really like that. I don't know, that doesn't focus very well. You got to stay back a little bit. And the two different sides look a little bit different. This one's a little more busy, I think, but I like it. I really like it. I like the way that came out. So there we go. Now we just need to figure out what kind of a knife to make from it. Maybe you guys can help me with that. Drop some suggestions, and we'll see if there's something in there that I want to do. All right, guys, there you go. So we're going to call it good this time around, and we'll pick it up on the next video, see if we can get a knife made out of this thing. Anyway, so I wanted to thank all the patrons. I wanted to thank all the subscribers, all the new subscribers, and everybody that's been supporting the channel. It's just been really awesome, and the channel's growing pretty good. So I wanted to thank all you guys for that. Without you, this wouldn't be happening. So Thanks for stopping by Big Dog Forge. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, because it's a good thing. And all the cool kids are doing it. You want to be cool, right? Take care. Be safe. Bye-bye now.